Every recession changes the economy in some way. Jobs disappear, markets fall, and people become more cautious with money. But many experts believe the next recession could feel very different from the ones before it. Rising automation, artificial intelligence, global debt, inflation pressures, digital economies, and shifting work patterns are creating conditions the modern financial system hasn't fully faced all at once before. Today we will talk about why the next recession will be different from all others. So before we get started, make sure to hit that like button, also subscribe to my channel 10. Most people think recessions always follow the same pattern. When people hear the word recession, they usually imagine the same familiar cycle: markets fall, businesses slow down, unemployment rises, and eventually the economy recovers. And historically, recessions often did follow somewhat predictable patterns. But the next recession may look very different from the ones people are used to studying. Why? Because the modern economy itself has changed dramatically. Technology, debt levels, artificial intelligence, global supply chains, digital finance, remote work, and inflation have reshaped how economies operate. 9. The world is more financially connected than ever before. One major difference today is global interconnectedness. In previous decades, economic problems in one country often remained more isolated. Today, economies are deeply linked through supply chains, banking systems, technology, energy markets, and digital finance. A disruption in one major region can rapidly spread across the world. We saw glimpses of this during supply chain crises, inflation spikes, and global market volatility. The next recession may not feel local. It could become globally synchronized much faster than earlier economic downturns. 8. Artificial intelligence could change the employment crisis completely. Previous recessions were mostly about temporary economic slowdowns. But the next recession may overlap with rapid automation and AI adoption at the same time. Businesses under financial pressure often look for efficiency first. That means companies may accelerate automation during economic downturns to reduce costs. In earlier recessions, jobs eventually returned in similar forms. But this time, some jobs may disappear permanently because technology can replace certain tasks more efficiently. This creates a very different type of economic pressure, not just unemployment, but structural workforce transformation. 7. Debt levels are already extremely high. Another reason the next recession could feel different is the sheer amount of debt already built into the system. Governments, corporations, and consumers are carrying enormous debt burdens globally. In past recessions, lower debt levels often gave economies more flexibility to stimulate recovery. But high debt changes the equation. Rising interest rates make borrowing more expensive, and heavily leveraged systems become more fragile under pressure. The next downturn may expose how dependent modern economies became on cheap borrowing and constant growth. 6. Inflation complicates everything. One of the biggest differences compared to many earlier recessions is inflation. Traditionally, central banks could aggressively lower interest rates and inject money into the economy during downturns. But if inflation remains elevated, policymakers face a difficult balancing act. Stimulating growth too aggressively may worsen inflation. Tightening too much may deepen recession conditions. This creates a more complicated environment where governments and central banks have fewer easy solutions than people expect. 5. Remote work and digital economies will shift. Who suffers most the next recession may also affect industries unevenly in completely new ways. Remote work, online businesses, digital services, and creator economies changed how income is generated. Some people may remain relatively protected because their work is global and digital. Others tied to traditional industries may face stronger disruption. Economic pain may become less geographically predictable than in past recessions. People with adaptable digital skills may recover faster than those dependent on rigid systems. 4. Consumer psychology is becoming more fragile. Modern economies depend heavily on consumer spending. But today's consumers are already dealing with rising costs, financial anxiety, debt pressure, and information overload. Social media and constant news exposure amplify fear quickly. During previous recessions, information moved slower. Now financial panic can spread globally within hours. Consumer confidence may collapse faster because people constantly absorb negative economic signals online. Fear itself can accelerate economic slowdowns when spending suddenly contracts. 3. Wealth gaps could become even larger. Recessions rarely affect everyone equally. Wealthy individuals often own assets, businesses, and investments that recover strongly after downturns. Meanwhile, financially vulnerable individuals may lose jobs, savings, or stability more permanently. The next recession could widen wealth inequality even further, because asset owners usually have more flexibility during economic crises. People with liquidity can buy opportunities during downturns, while others may be forced into survival mode. Economic stress often transfers wealth toward those already positioned with assets and cash flow. 2. The next recovery may reward adaptability more than loyalty. In previous generations, recovery often meant returning to the same industries, companies, and economic structures. But the next recession may permanently reshape entire sectors. AI, automation, renewable energy, digital finance, and changing consumer behavior are already transforming markets. Recovery may favor people who adapt quickly, rather than those waiting for old systems to fully return. Skills, flexibility, and continuous learning could become more important than traditional job security alone. 1. The real difference. This recession may reshape behavior, not just markets. The deeper reason the next recession may feel different is because it could fundamentally change how people think about work, money, and security. Trust in old financial systems may weaken further. More people may pursue multiple income streams, digital ownership, investing, remote work, or alternative financial strategies. The idea of a safe career may continue fading as technology and economic volatility accelerate. This downturn may not only be economic, it may become psychological and structural at the same time. What do you think of our video? Let me know in the comment section below. Before you go, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching.